And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story, real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
The inmates are running the show. Welcome to Financial Fitness Friday, everybody. I'm Rich Rosso, CFP, here with Danny Ratliff, also certified financial planner. Certified financial planners squared, if you will. So we appreciate you being here. Futures are relatively flat this morning. There's a lot of data coming out today. What is especially going to be important is average hourly earnings. As Powell moves away from his transitory talk to more permatory when it comes to inflation, wages tend to be sticky. So we're looking at anywhere from 5% expected, 4.9% was in October. Still not really keeping up with the real rate of inflation versus CPI, because everything is pretty much up double digits. So, Danny, that's going to be, I think, the big indicator for next year. Where does wage growth go? At the labor force participation rate, I don't even think you might have been in diapers the last time it was at 61.6%. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the labor force participation rate next year. So we talked about this on the show last year, how inflation was probably going to be a little bit longer. And what did we do? We raised the overall level of inflation on all our plans, right, to about 2.5%. In other words, we look at inflation here on a goal-by-goal basis, whether it's healthcare, new car, whatever it is. But there's a general run rate, and that's 2%, and we changed it to 2.5. Well, the OECD expects inflation to be above the U.S. Federal Reserve's 2% target at 2.5% 2023. We nailed it, Danny. We just have to prepare clients better for what might be some, maybe not transitory, maybe not structural, something in between, because we know when Mondelez raises the price on Oreos, they don't go ahead and lower them again.
Well, they also start taking them out of the package as well, so
they
you have
make them
fewer
smaller.
and fewer. Yeah, but that is an interesting point. So we've discussed how it is so important to attach some type of inflation rate to different types of goals, and so looking at a financial plan, an impact from actually 2% to 2.5% can be rather significant.
Absolutely.
So we actually need to see some type of wage growth that is sustainable for this to really have some legs, I think. If not, we're going to see some bigger issues when the Fed does begin to raise interest rates. There's going to be other problems that will be associated with that move, which we've seen already.
Right. And we know the supply chain issues will work themselves out, and we will see inflation on certain goods drop off. However, as a piece I wrote a few weeks ago, Michael Leibowitz, a lot on inflation. I just think that we're setting ourselves up for more of a headwind, especially with energy prices as our infrastructure. Ironically, as the weather gets more unstable, whether it's a global situation or not, global warming or whatever it is, or there's some form of climate change that's happening where weather is changing, you actually need more dependable energy source, and we seem to be in our own way. So you're going to see higher prices in items. And of course, once wages go up, though, that's what we call the sticky inflation. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, we see a lot of companies moving more toward technology. I think Denny's has got like a new pancake flipping robot. I'd like to see that if he's wearing a little cap.
Impressive.
Yeah. McDonald's has got a burger flipping. No, I think Denny's was a server, electronic servers. So that'll be interesting to see. Companies are going to learn to adjust with this. They have to maintain their margins. Unfortunately, I did have an idea that didn't go over well because Michael Witniski, who runs Dollar Tree, now they're not Dollar Tree. They're $1.25 tree. But I said that he should have it as a $1.23 tree. And they don't email me anymore because it just rhymes better. $1.23 tree.
Did he fire his marketing department upon receiving the email?
Nobody sent me a death threat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, interesting story. Dollar General, they're based out of Tennessee. They're going to open 1,000 new stores. But these are going to be for the wealthier suburban shoppers. So is it really Dollar General? Is it $1 4-star General?
So how do you change your
I don't know. It's called.
And I'm interested to see it says other.
Is
other
it like
places.
5 and 5 below? Because it's going to be called Pop Shelf.
Yeah.
And they're going to have 30 Pop Shelf stores in 6 states. And they're going to have, again, so I don't know how they go from this and then they raise it. See, that's their way of coming around the inflation curve. Like, we're going to put this for wealthier, we're going to put this in suburban places. And we can't really call it Dollar General. We're going to call it Pop Shelf. And the goods will be, I don't know what the price points are. What do you think, Brent? Brent's like, I'm not going to Pop Shelf unless they sell they have ice cream pops.
It's like the difference between Chevrolets and Cadillacs. It's the same stuff. They're just going to.
Well, that's what I think. They'll mark it up, or they'll just have a little bit of a higher grade of stuff.
Yeah.
Because the stores do look a little bit better. But I just don't know how these Dollar Generals. But $1.23 tree, Michael should have taken me up on that offer. Seems like it makes a lot of sense. So inflation is definitely something to watch. Obviously, markets have been okay with it because, hey, when's the last time most major corporations or businesses, for that matter, when have they had pricing power? Except, so let's take Apple out of the equation because people freak out, right? Or Starbucks, they're going to spend $10 on a cup of rancid coffee. So, but when have really overall have companies had pricing power?
Well, they haven't, but we've seen kind of the writing on the wall for a while in the sense that we've seen, new cars used to be 60 months was like a long, long time for you to finance something. Then it went to 72. Now you can find 10-year financing. And so they're finding more creative ways for people to be able to actually still afford a much pricier product, which I think comes back and bites you in the rear end later down the road in a couple of different ways. When you do need to sell a vehicle, when you do need to go purchase something else, you're going to want to hold on to things much longer, I think.
You will.
And so maybe you don't have that turnover. Now, they created this revenue stream, which I think is going to be beneficial for them, but you're not going to see the turnover that you once had. At least that's what I think. I think that may be one of the downfalls that we see with some of these moves that are being made now.
So this Pop Shelf is going to be looking to target customers. Women who live in suburban areas have an annual household income that ranges from $50,000 to $125,000, roughly 9,000 square feet. And they'll have home goods, seasonal decor, party supplies, velvet pictures of Elvis. No, that's okay. 90% of the merchandise will be $5 or less. See, everything's going to 5 below.
Yeah. Well, this is great. This gives me something new to use with Michelle because I give her such a hard time anytime we pass a Dollar General. I'm like, look, we could live here. And she almost drives me off the road, but yeah. So this will be something new I can put in my arsenal with her.
Now that would be a sitcom, moving into a Dollar General.
I don't mean moving into it, but being near one. Hold on now.
Well,
that would be.
We're gonna create a new store called the 10 Pen. We're gonna open that. It's just gonna be goods that are $10 and below.
I like it.
Yeah, you like that? Brent's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure, I really like that a lot. We get back, we're going to talk about Social Security. Will it be here for you? Yes, Lance, we think it will. Yes, Lance, there is a Santa Claus. We'll be right back.
Investment news you can use. Delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Retirement's not what it used to be, and long-term care could enhance your golden years. The question is not whether you can afford it, but whether you can afford not to have it. Our next virtual Lunch and Learn will cover the management of long-term care expenses that could make or break your retirement. Join Jonathan Penn and Chris Liebum for the basics of long-term care. Register at realinvestmentadvice.com for our virtual Lunch and learn on long-term care. December 9th at noon. RealInvestmentAdvice.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets, and unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. Get started right now at the website, realinvestmentadvice.com, or simply call our toll-free number, 855-RIA-PLAN, or again, simply online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Small businesses are discovering that attracting and retaining top talent come down to more than just salary. In today's highly competitive job market, compensation is more than just wages. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Healthcare and retirement plans can make the difference in hiring and retaining the best employees. We can show you how to build an affordable, effective employment package that delivers true value for your workers and your business. Call me toll free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Bulls win in bull markets. Bears win in bear markets. Eagles soar above and take advantage of opportunity. Let us help you soar as you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
And we're back talking about inflation. We're going to have a nice Social Security adjustment, cost of living adjustment, 5.9%. But your Medicare Part Premium is going up Part B premium is going up 14.3%. What are you going to do? Well, one thing that we talk about a lot is demographics, right? You need people. You need people to continue an economy. It's the lifeblood of it. So, when Pew Research survey found that a growing share of U.S. adults don't want kids. Their reasons range from not wanting to have kids, from just the concerns about finances, that's always been mine. Oh, and climate change, because, the planet may not be here. Around 44% of non-parents aged 18 to 49 say they don't plan to have children in the future. That's an increase of 7%, or 7 percentage points from the 37% who said the same in a 2018 survey. 74% of adults younger than 50 who are already parents say they are unlikely to have more kids. There's a baby dearth, Danny, not in your house, but Japan and China, U.S., this is a problem. And to Lance's point, that is a valid issue when it comes to how many people you need to be working to pay for an aging demographic in Social Security. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, it used to be we had so many workers for like 16 for every one worker, or one retiree, excuse me. And so now those numbers have shifted dramatically, and that's going to continue if this trend, is going to continue to be a problem. I mean, you've seen China; they used to have basically a moratorium on how many children you could have, and now they've stepped back from that because they see the problem the social problems that it's occurring from this, right?
Right.
And so I think that I don't know what gives here, because it is right. I mean, I think about it all the time, all the things we want to do, and then I think, oh, well, okay, 1, 2, 3, wait, 4, 5. It all adds up, right? And so it's extremely difficult for people to be able to stomach the cost, and especially as people are becoming more and more aware about their finances, which is a great thing.
The climate change excuse really gets me, though.
Is that, yeah, how crazy is that?
I just don't want to bring people. I read this story, because Pew Research had a whole study. It's like, I don't want to bring someone into this world is on fire. Well, I don't know if you're where the hospital isn't. I mean, that part of it, maybe some people shouldn't have children. I totally understand. I understand the finances for it, right? How much does it cost to put a child through college. Like Haley's tuition at Emory, $72,000 a year,
Wow.
and she got thank goodness she got a free ride, even though I saved for college, right?
Yep.
I'm like, how do people do this, right? So if you had 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever it is, and you got to put them all through college and feed them and clothe them. I mean, I think it was definitely worth it to have a child, but I can see how people say, listen, I can't do it. Or, it restrains from my freedom to do other things, like be on Decentraland, to be on social media and be on TikTok, filming videos of me getting in and out of a car or something. It really is the important stuff.
Well, but that's a great example of easy money and some of the downfalls because of it. And so those are going to continue to be issues. And it's right. People are having to think about, okay, where do I, what do I envision my life to look like? Where I think in the past it was just kind of expected. People are going to have children. This is how it goes. Mm-hmm. And now people are saying, whoa, this is a lot more expensive than what I thought. And you see other people in the strains it can put on families, the financial burdens. Hey, I'm not going to shy away from it or tell somebody not to go have children by any means. But think about this: your clients who don't have any kids, hey, they got a lot more money, don't they?
Oh my goodness!
They're able to sock away quite a bit more.
To your point, there is a very marked difference in the dollars of single couples.
Well, you're able to save on things and do things a little bit differently, right? And that's the thing. I think even with the children we have, and I think we're pretty frugal with how we live and things we do. It's still, I look back, looking at a monthly budget, like, whoa, man. Just the simple things have become so much more expensive. Oh, you want to play in a soccer league or basketball, baseball?
Oh, because you're going to be in all of that, right?
Yeah.
And what's that cost?
It's not cheap.
Right, dance lessons, piano lessons.
But it's not just that. It's all the other things that you add on to it, right? Oh, wait. Oh, you need new shoes. You need a bat. You need a glove. It starts adding up extremely quickly. And most people aren't budgeting for those, the extraneous items. And so I think for the normal household, that can weigh on it. Now, I don't think most people are thinking about those little things when they're having kids. But they do see the numbers that are put out that says, oh, each child is $250,000 until college.
Right. Until college.
Yeah. So, I think you could put a price tag on it that's probably much more.
Yeah. And listen, you can't put a dollar value on the benefit, the internal benefit of having children, but it is a luxury. Heck, having pets today is a luxury. Every time you go to the vet, it's $200. Everything today, it's tough. So you're seeing demographics decline. That is an issue for Social Security. And there is a focus finally on it. Social Security, there is this new act that was introduced. Rep. Al Lawson out of Florida introduced H.R. 5737, Social Security for Future Generations Act of 2021, all except for Lance Roberts. He just added that in. So something we talked about, Danny, the proposal is to call for earnings above $250,000 to be subject to Social Security tax, right? So we look at the maximum taxable wage base, and next year going to be $147,000. It rises with inflation, and it would be $250,000 in 2037, but there's talk to accelerate that. Frankly, I don't understand why they just probably listen. We don't have a payroll cap.
Yeah, you would think they do that.
You would think that would be something that they would just literally take away.
I don't have a whole lot of confidence that this is going to get through to begin with. It's just like many other bills. They're great ideas, but typically there's not a whole lot of follow through. He's been trying to get something done for the last 5 years.
I know. He's had a few acts out there to do that, but they want to change the index used in the COLA to CPIE versus W.
Which I think is great.
There is. And what's interesting, though, through the pandemic, it was better off for an older American to use CPI-W than E. So
Really?
Go figure that out. Yeah. Right. Reconfiguring how you look at the minimum PIA, alternative benefit for surviving spouses. All of this, Social Security actuaries said this bill, if passed, would extend the trust fund depletion date by 10 years to 2044. Listen, we talk about this all the time. Yes, there's a demographic issue. Yes, Social Security needs to be fixed. They are relatively minor fixes right now. raising the full retirement age. Go back to the mortality tables. Look at the fact that maybe 67, we just make it 68. You take the delayed retirement credit from 70 to 72. You take some of the cap off the payroll tax. You're fine.
Yeah.
Social Security is fine.
What fixes it? It's a very fast fix if you can do these little things. Now, for most people, they're going to say, "Hey, I'm not on board with this. I've been paying in for this whole time. I want my money." And the issue will be is that people close to retirement will not be impacted by this, but it's going to be the people who are my age, and younger. Really is where I think that you're going to see that change. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to draw the line. They've historically talked about the age 50. We've heard 55 thrown out there. I think 50 is probably more feasible. You have a little bit more time a little longer runway to make adjustments and change and save more. But I don't know, Rich. I mean, it's surprising. We keep seeing and we hear about the labor force participation rate, the demographic, especially amongst those like 65 and older, has been increasing. But most people are still retiring at a younger age, like 63, I think is the average age. So how does that
Lance is an actuary now because he says we've repeatedly increased tax rates, pushed retirement ages, and it solves the problem for about 3 years. Not sure about that. Now, again, I think to Lance's point, demographics is a big part of this. So if you just get more people working and paying in, that would help. Now, I don't know how to solve that problem, whether you want some sort of intelligent immigration. The point is, if you're retiring today, you're retiring within 5 years, you're retiring within 10 years, Social Security is going to be there for you. Okay? We have to help you plan properly for it. I don't have a Lance Roberts calculator that goes, you're screwed, and just gets printed out on a page for Social Security maximization. So that's... Can you imagine the Lance Roberts Social Security maximization program? What that would look like? It's one page. You're effed. Move on. Most people depend on it. We've got some new stats, Danny, you'll see, in the retirement right lane class. And it's devastating. Yeah. Surprisingly devastating how many older Americans depend on Social Security.
Well, we know the numbers, and that's why, I know there could be a looming cut. But how devastating will that be to most households when you think about more than half of retirees rely on it for more than half of their income?
Well, before they take it away, I'm going to call Mrs. Roberts. We're going to create the Lance Roberts tent city on his palatial estate, and we're going to have all these tents up for all the people that are off Social Security now and need to be home.
You're assuming that we can all make it past the moat?
We would
alligators, right?
Well, that's part of the infrastructure bill that Biden is passing.
Great.
But
the
bridge over Lance's moat
may not look exactly how it looks, but at some point there's going to be some type of other social program that's going to provide income. There's not going to be a way that they're going to be able to completely eliminate this.
And Lance says, we're going to continue, not saying it won't get their welfare check. he's comparing Social Security welfare now. But it's a function of continuing to issue debt. Well, of course, Lance. We love debt. I heart debt. I got you that shirt for Christmas. We'll be right back with more about Social Security and Medicare and all kinds of fun stuff as Lance trolls YouTube here on Financial Fitness Friday.
Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Retirement's not what it used to be, and long-term care could enhance your golden years. The question is not whether you can afford it, but whether you can afford not to have it. Our next virtual Lunch and Learn will cover the management of long-term care expenses that could make or break your retirement. Join Jonathan Penn and Chris Liebum for the basics of long-term care. Register at realinvestmentadvice.com for our virtual Lunch and Learn on long-term care. December 9th at noon. realinvestmentadvice.com.
Have the market's gyrations made you nervous? If so, it's because you have more risk in your portfolio than you realize. It's time to reevaluate your long-term investing strategy with RIA Advisors. Our disciplined approach can help eliminate unnecessary risk. We do that by having both a buy and sell discipline. Does your advisor do that? If you think it's time to work with an advisor who puts your interests first, it's time for real investment advice. RIA Advisors, 855-RIA-PLAN. RIAadvisors.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. A passive investment portfolio requires active risk management. It's not a choice, it's necessity. Diversification doesn't protect against risk of loss. Let us actively help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Can't catch the whole show now? Listen to our podcast later at realinvestmentadvice.com.
I went to see the doctor. Really great guy, but he's an older guy, kind of like Coach Murphy that you grew up with in high school. And it never cost me more than $25 to go see him because his solution is pretty much the same every time. Rub some dirt on it and walk it off. And I said, well, don't you have something you maybe give me for the pain? He hands me a thing of Tic Tacs. He says, take one a day and pretend it doesn't hurt. What's your problem?
The Real Investment Show podcast. Same show, your schedule.
And it works just fine.
At realinvestmentadvice.com.
Small businesses are discovering that attracting and retaining top talent come down to more than just salary. In today's highly competitive job market, compensation is more than just wages. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Healthcare and retirement plans can make the difference in hiring and retaining the best employees. We can show you how to build an affordable, effective employment package that delivers true value for your workers and your business. Call me toll-free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Real Investment Show podcasts are now available from Stitcher Smart Radio at Stitcher.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets. And unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA Advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. It's a quick and easy application. Just simply click Ask a Question at realinvestmentadvice.com or give us a call at 855-RIA-PLAN. That's realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show YouTube page has all of our videos ready for your easy access. From 3 minutes on markets and money to each day's radio shows. Subscribe and bookmark our YouTube channel for The Real Investment Show. Or just click on the show links at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Welcome back. Listen, it's not cheap, but I am really thinking of getting a Lance Roberts puppet for the show. So Lance would be here with us on Friday. He'd have my mouth, and that's going to be funny. But the Lance Roberts puppet.
Yeah, we've talked
might
about
be
that.
coming.
We're going to get you a Kingfisher one. We're gonna, yeah. We have a handful planned, but
we do. We have it. They're not cheap.
I can't get over the cost. That's my issue.
Yeah, they're not cheap. Man, they did a prototype. It looked just like Lance, but I'm like, whoa, how much is that? That's worth more than the real Lance.
Did they send it to you?
No, they sent me a picture. I'll send you the picture.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's great. Except he had no shirt on. It was disturbing. It was like they didn't get him dressed yet. It was like a naked Lance puppet.
That's probably how Lance walks around everywhere.
Yeah, I think he does, probably. So,
when he's not bowling.
Listen, our bowling shirts, we wear them with pride. Long-term care. Next year, retirement right-lane classes refreshed with a lot of new numbers and a lot of new stats. And boy, have long-term care costs, or at least the costs of nursing home and assisted living, boy, have they gone up. So, on Thursday, December 9th at 12, we're going to be doing a virtual, free Zoom webinar, the Lunch and Learn, on can you afford not to have long-term care? And that's going to be with Chris Liebum and John Barrymore Penn. So tune in for that. You know, when we plan for long-term care, Danny, it's always a process. I never understand how people just purchase long-term care insurance without a financial plan coupled to it, because how much do I know that do I need it? Do I need it? Right? There are going to be times, most of the time I will tell you with couples, and they don't have a legacy intent to preserve the estate, many times they might need just maybe one person insured or not need it at all, depending on the assets they have. So it's very difficult for people. I don't think it's difficult for people. I just think it's difficult for me to comprehend, how do I purchase insurance if I don't know if I need it? And then if I think I need it, how much do I need? And that's where your financial plan makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think a shift is coming here, Rich. Historically, it's been just that. We've had somebody, and a lot of times it's a salesman who says, hey, this is how much this cost is. You start to think about it, or maybe you go through it and you see a loved one have these experiences and you say, oh my gosh, I need to do as much as I can right now to protect my family, protect assets, create a legacy.
Right.
And you go for it. And unfortunately, it needs to be we need to back into these numbers. And I do believe there's a shift coming. And I think this is going to be with all insurance, Rich, in the sense that it's not going to be just, okay, this is what I need because this is what I've been told. But I think it's going to evolve around that financial plan, around having that partnership between the two. And this can even go with property and casualty, with your umbrella policy, with so many different things on the risk management side, that to really get a good understanding on how to protect yourself and your family. And so the long-term care aspect, though, is one of those things that we historically seen that's just not done properly.
Well, and there have been studies that show people are becoming much more receptive to risk mitigation through the pandemic, right? They've seen people pass away. They've seen people get sick. They've seen businesses just dry up and die. So you realize that there are some risks you cannot absorb. So I think people have become more reflective of their own financial situation, and it allows for those conversations to occur, right? And we are an extremely litigious society. So if you have a lot of assets, I bet a lot of people who listen to this show, they're sort of debt averse, unlike everybody else. And they have accumulated assets. Now, how do I protect them? Right? How do I protect an income stream? How do I protect for a legacy? How do I protect if someone trips on my, in my driveway? Or I have an auto accident, right? Uninsured motorist in this town is absolutely necessary. Okay?
Yeah.
So I think to your point, Danny, where those conversations are sort of uncomfortable. We don't want to deal with an injury, dealing about we might be injured or we might die. But I think people are more open to it now. The key to it, though, is not just go out and purchase. The key is to plan it first and then figure out how much you need, right? And then you wind up saving yourself money in the long term. I met with a couple the other day. They had the bells to whistles long-term care policy, right? We ran a plan for them, Danny, and I said, you're like overinsured.
Yeah.
Because you have these assets, this. They went, oh my gosh, I never really thought about it. Now, I said, I don't think you should stop it. They're not bad policies. But what I want to help you understand is that you are overinsured for long-term care. You're going to completely preserve your estate. Now, which means what we had to do, and they don't have a legacy intent, is to say, well, maybe that money we were going to use for long-term care, since you are paying these premiums, you can go and you're going to have to spend more money. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But they are overinsured, and their premiums are pretty hefty.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing, is that it's so difficult to right-size these things if you don't know the full big picture.
Right.
I mean, how do you go into these things and just say, and it's just like the rule of thumb. It used to be like 9 times for income for life insurance.
Yeah.
But it never really factored in the debt. So people look online and go sign up, but you didn't factor in, okay, well, how old are your children? What type of debt do you have? When do you pay these off? Those are things that I think are extremely important, that it needs to be an across the table discussion. It needs to be something that, there's a full understanding from a holistic perspective on any of these items when you purchase, and you do it right. You do it the right way.
You do it the right way, and you wind up saving money because you wind up targeting the payment to what you actually need versus overpaying for something. That's important. There are people that need to, I think if people have a legacy intent, they want to preserve their estate for others, that could be a key to purchasing insurance of some form, right? or we don't have a lot of assets and we have longevity risk in our family, right? People are going to live longer, like you have in your family, Danny, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to prepare for that risk of living longer if your assets are not going to make it, whether it's a guaranteed income stream where you have to create your own pension, whether you're maximizing Social Security to wait to age 70. I have a dear client of mine for 25 years. She has longevity in her family. She just started Social Security at 70, right? Her payment's like $3,800 a month, close $3,800, $3,900 a month. And she's like, thank you. You know, she's in great health for 70. I know she's gonna beat out the mortality tables.
She's got another 20, 25 years.
Right. And her mom was 104 years old.
Wow.
So, you know, she's got a nice check coming in from Social Security because she waited and she has been working up until this point. So you've got to plan for longevity risk. But I really agree with you, and the studies are now showing, Pew Research and others, that people are more receptive. I'm writing a piece right now for the Lances for the blog about how this time of year, holiday time, people are more receptive to conversation about their mortality, right? Because you unpack a box of ornaments, you know, time stands still, right? Maybe your dad or your mom gave this to you and they're no longer here. Grandpa gave me this, right? Things last so much longer. You get to deal with the fact that someday your children are going to be sitting at a table. You're not going to be there.
Yeah.
But some of the decisions you've made are going to be like a ghost that sits at that table if you're not handling it properly. If you're not handling the conversation properly and you're letting your estate plan, cold hard documents talk for you after you pass. So this is a piece I'm writing right now. So conversations about insurance are important, but always do the planning first. This virtual workshop is going to give you an overview of what is long-term care, how can you fund it, what kinds of insurance out there, because guess what? We talk about it all the time. How many providers of long-term care insurance are there now?
Oh, not nearly as many as there used to be. I mean, it used to be back in the 80s, 90s, there was 100.
Right.
It was like 10. Yeah.
10, and I bet if we look today, it'd be less than that.
Well,
right?
And there's probably only a handful that you actually want to use.
Right. And again, it's expensive, and you have to budget for it. So, but and you may not pass underwriting. So,
That's
like,
correct.
for example, I have a hybrid policy, which is really just an insurance policy that allows long-term care benefit, right? So some of the underwriting is not as austere as the insurance, but I also leave a legacy for my daughter, right? So if I don't use it, I have her as a beneficiary. That's a nice little feature where if I wind up not using this money, at least she gets it.
Correct.
So there are many ways to capture long-term care if you need coverage, but that's like the last decision. It's the spend down. What could you do before you even need insurance? And that's what a plan will show you.
Yeah, and I think that's important to understand the spin down and the autonomy or I guess the tiers. Like, how do you actually break it down?
Yeah.
Where do you spend money from first? And we do that on a regular basis when thinking about distribution planning. How do you withdraw from certain accounts and different assets? Now, not everybody has the luxury of being able to do that. A lot of people just have everything in pre-tax, and this is the way
IRAs,
it is.
right.
But we are seeing that people are becoming a lot more astute with funding and putting funds in different places from a contribution perspective.
Right.
Which I think down the road is going to be a significant advantage that people will have in their pocket to help mitigate additional taxes, those stealth taxes we discussed, and then hopefully be able to pay for some of those other expenses without having to pay taxes, and then increase other areas like Medicare surcharge, things of that nature.
Yep. When we get back, we're going to talk about withdrawals from Roth IRAs, Medicare, and you've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Now get ready for Dolly on a Tamale. Brent always leaves these cute things for me. That's pretty funny.
Dolly on a tamale.
We'll be right back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Retirement's not what it used to be, and long-term care could enhance your golden years. The question is not whether you can afford it, but whether you can afford not to have it. Our next virtual Lunch and Learn will cover the management of long-term care expenses that could make or break your retirement. Join Jonathan Penn and Chris Liebum for the basics of long-term care. Register at realinvestmentadvice.com for our virtual Lunch and Learn on long-term care, December 9th at noon. realinvestmentadvice.com.
Do you know what you don't know when hiring and retaining quality employees? Compensation is more than just wages. It's personal time off, the vacation days, healthcare benefits, a 401k. Do you know what's important to them? Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Let us show you how to make the most of an affordable, effective package that will deliver true value for your business and your employees. Call me toll free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets. And unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. Get started right now at the website, realinvestmentadvice.com, or simply call our toll-free number, 855-RIA-PLAN, simply online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Manage risk and volatility rather than trying to manage gains. You don't have to be right all the time. Long-term investing success is a 70% gain. Let us help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Now, JP on YouTube, because we do have a YouTube channel. Join the conversation. We have a lot of fun. Lance trolls us.
We troll Lance.
We troll Lance. It's all out of love. It's all out of love. So JP says, he took care of his dad.
Yeah.
Now, you just cannot assume. Well, first of all, we talked about the baby dearth. So not going to be enough kids to take care of you. But I have people that'll come to me and go, well, my kids are going to take care of me. I'm like, well, did you have the talk with them about it? No.
No, that's what I had them for.
Yeah, I had them to take care of me. My definition of it and how I look at it, I can't. I mean, I don't want my daughter to. I don't want to interrupt her life. That's more painful to me. That's why I have it.
Well, if you've ever
but there are
seen
people
somebody
that just flippantly say, my kids are going to take care of me. And well, do you really know that?
If you've ever seen the stress, though, and the impact it has on a family.
On a caregiver.
I think
my gosh, caregivers, yes.
Yeah, you would change your mind pretty quickly on that. I mean, I saw that with my grandfather, lived to 99, and he had long-term care. He had but he had the home.
He's in the wheelchair chasing women. I mean, it would have been tough for you to.
Well, but the issue is, I mean, it goes so much deeper than some things. I mean, you need somebody around the clock, and so now you're actually a manager. You're a scheduling manager, and you're calling people, and wait, this person can't be there. Now you're HR, and you're doing so many different. You're wearing all these different hats, and it is difficult. And then if you have a non-indemnity plan, it's great. But what if you have to go in and do get all the receipts, send them off, and beg for them to actually pay, from a long-term care perspective? This is tough. I mean, it is. There's so many moving parts with this that I think people take for granted when you do have a really good plan or you have something set up. And I just know I don't want to put that burden on my kids.
They don't realize it's a full-time job.
It is. It is absolutely a full-time job. And, you're typically when these events occur, and they can happen at any time, but when they do, a lot of times you have kids that are still working. Mm-hmm. They have a life of their own. They have their own kids or grandkids they're working with.
We talk to them all the time.
Every day.
The stress, you have children that are taking care of their children and their parents. Those people do not need to be convinced that they need a long-term care plan of some kind. They are like, please sign me up for whatever long-term care plan I need, because they finally get it. And then the children who have parents that did look forward and bought insurance and it worked, they're thankful that it's there.
Yeah.
So as we all live longer, children are finally getting firsthand view of how important it is to plan for long-term care, because you're more apt to have some form of long-term disability or not being able to perform activities of daily living than you are dying. Look at people who have dementia, like my friend Johnny Crawford from The Rifleman, right? He lived 10 years with dementia in a home. Very expensive.
That's right.
He
Especially if they're
physically
being
was,
memory
he,
care,
you know,
I mean-
was just with COVID and everything else. I didn't even get a chance to see him because I was going to go out there to LA during that whole period with COVID. But he was physically fine for a long time.
Yeah.
This is, imagine if you're a caregiver or you have to pay for that service. So not to keep beating this long-term care horse, but it's important to think about it. Now, Medicare, shifting gears here a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about Medicare Part B premiums for next year, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a pretty significant increase. You go from, 140.50 right now or 60 to 170.10. That's a pretty substantial jump. And so everybody was really, screaming from the rooftops that Social Security is giving us great COLA, cost of living adjustment. And then we see the Medicare adjustment come out right after that, like womp womp. But it'll be good because it's on a much larger amount. However, we are seeing healthcare cost increase. We talked earlier in the show about, having kind of segmenting each different goal or line item that you're going to have as an expense and associating a different inflation rate with it.
Well,
this is where it's important, right?
Yes, but here's my concern. So our inflation rate right now from the Kaiser Foundation for Medicare premiums is roughly about 5.3%. Now with this 14.5% jump, I have to see if this is an anomaly or it continues for me to adjust it in the plans. Not sure yet.
Yeah.
But you have rising prices and utilization across healthcare systems. That drives higher premiums year over year. Lower the increase in, additional contingency reserves. Also, obviously, there's this new Alzheimer's drug, Adulam, that, and then this is where people go, wait a minute, why is the cost of this drug in Part B? Shouldn't that be a Part D?
Yeah.
Increase, but there is administration and so forth, and projections that would go into the Part B, physician services and so forth. So that's really another reason why you're seeing an increase in premium. The lesson here for people is to understand is Medicare is still the best deal compared to going on to the marketplace.
Yeah.
But prices go up dramatically. It's a bit of a sticker shock. You've got to plan for those, and you got to make sure that the inflation rate you're using in your plan, your plans, are accurate. That takes some study, analysis from different sources that I use, like the Atlanta Fed and Kaiser Foundation, which is a great source of healthcare information, especially trends in healthcare spending.
Well, it's not just Medicare that's seeing increases. It's all across the board. I mean, we have clients that are under 65. They're seeing their plans are going up as well. So it's an all across the board deal here where we are seeing cost increase substantially and rather quickly. So we do have to be pretty nimble when it comes to increasing, forecast for healthcare expenses. And I think that that's going to be probably key here in the future as we continue to see the pandemic. That may be why. Do you think this is why maybe we're seeing a big push with Medicare Advantage?
Absolutely.
Got to be, right?
Absolutely. Because Medicare Advantage doesn't inhibit my cash flows.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. Now,
if you don't have a problem.
If I don't have a serious problem.
Correct.
Right? And I have to figure out, oh my gosh. Now, Medicare Advantage is all inclusive, right? William Shatner, Joe Namath, all JJ, Dynamite. I'm going to get what I deserve, Dynamite. Medicare Advantage is very lucrative. Covers everything, right? You get dental, you get vision, you get silver sneakers. I might get a Fitbit, whatever it is. So, you have no premium, like no deductibles. Joe Namath says no premium, no deductible. Joe Namath was the man. Let me tell you, he always had these. Forget it. So you know where I'm going. Now he's on Medicare. So It's hard for me. It's hard for me to see all my heroes touting Medicare. Yeah.
Is he on Medicare or is he on Medicare Advantage? That's the key.
Oh,
do you think he
I would
practiced
love
slutty
to
preach?
know.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's on Medicare Part B, Medigap. He's on the better. He's on the better stuff. I like when he goes, "You're gonna get what you deserve." When he said that in the locker room in the '70s, it meant something totally different. So it's just fun to watch him. I want to tell you, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be next in the stars that I love. Is Tom Selleck going to be promoting adult diapers? I don't know who's next. Who's next, Brent? Who's next to be touting stuff? Betty White? What? Who we got?
Dolly on a tamale.
No, Christy. If Christy Brinkley starts doing Medicare Advantage, I'm not even coming into the office anymore. I'm done. I am totally done. You'll get what you deserve. She's a freaking nature. I think she's close to 65 years old.
And she could sell ice to an Eskimo.
She sure can, but she better not sell Medicare Advantage because then I am done. TV's going right out the window. It's important to select the right insurance, and we do recommend Medigap, which pretty much resembles the kind of insurance you have at work, but Medicare Advantage, which is all-inclusive, a lot less expensive in the short term, unless maybe you do have a serious illness, and you'll have much more out of pocket. But more and more people, you look at the Kaiser Foundation numbers on Medicare Advantage, Danny, the popularity continues to explode because it is much more cost-effective. Yeah. People don't have the money. So if I have no deductible and I'm going to spend $400 a year, I'll take that all day, Joe.
Well,
Danny Namath.
We have seen those plans. They've adapted as well. What used to be only HMOs back in the day, we're seeing that now there's actually PPOs that are Medicare Advantage. So there are some changes that are positive.
And they're adding a lot of things. They're adding, they have Teladoc. That became important. Yeah. Mental health services for seniors could be important, especially as people become more isolated, because here's the other issue you have with saying, I'm going to have my children take care of me when I'm old. Well, what if you don't have any, right? Because we're seeing more and more single older Americans, divorced older Americans getting divorced later in life. So they're going to need some sort of caregiver service.
That's right.
Out there. But Medicare Advantage is just easier on the wallet. And it has a lot of stuff and a lot of bells and whistles. And listen, if I wasn't as schooled as I am in it, it looks attractive, doesn't it?
It could be very enticing. Yeah, absolutely. And so you just need to understand what you're getting versus, and Medicare Advantage, let's face it, it is the easier option because it typically is that all-inclusive, and it does cover things that the original Medicare does not cover, right? Typically, not always, but we do see that it covers vision, dental,
almost all of them
hearing.
Do. And when it comes to original Medicare, they're not concerned about your teeth or your eyes.
Yeah, so you're going to have to go out and buy those. It's kind of the a la carte type of strategy, but it is typically better from a big picture perspective. And God forbid something happens, you're going to be thankful you have that original Medicare.
Listen, go to Real Investment Advice. We have all new articles there. Sign up for Lance's daily commentary. It gets into your mailbox. It's really succinct, right to the point about what you need to know. December 9th, sign up at Real Investment Advice for our long-term care workshop. And I will tell you, we have a lot of exciting videos and workshops for next year. So stick with us in 2022. And I hope you all have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
It's a rich man's world.